You might think that AI therapy could be a really helpful tool, but Stanford researchers just discovered something terrifying. These chatbots are actually outperforming 90% of human therapists, which sounds amazing until you realize the dark side. Here's the problem no one's talking about. AI cannot tell the difference between reality and delusion, and it's creating what experts are now calling GPT psychosis. I'm Evan Goldstein. I'm a licensed professional engineer and a data scientist. I'm building AI Capitalist to talk to the leaders and the thinkers, like you, about navigating this brave new world of thinking machines. So, if you've been thinking about using AI for therapy, I'm going to warn you that it's a little bit iffy. There was a study from Stanford where they checked out therapy chatbots in ChatGPT during mental health crises. Turns out, AIs can actually do better than most regular therapists, like 9 out of 10 regular therapists. They don't create any weird dependencies either. So you're not going to end up like Woody Allen, just going to therapy forever and ever and never getting better. But there's a big catch. The problem is that these chatbots, even fancy new chatbots, often cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's a delusion. Plus, they're not always great at picking up signs of self-harm or of self-deletion risk. Imagine someone pretending to be in a crisis. They lost their job, they're asking about tall bridges in New York, and the bot just cheerfully drops a list. So this was an actual case that happened, and the chatbot on the one hand is saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you feel that way. That must be very difficult." And then the next minute it's saying, "Speaking of tall bridges, the tallest building in New York..." would be the Empire State Building. And you could also look at, for tall structures, the Brooklyn Bridge. The crux of the issue is this. AI like GPT might help you sort out a fight with a friend if you're thinking straight. But if you're stuck in delusional thinking, it's a very different story. GPT can blow your crazy ideas out of proportion because it doesn't have a grip on reality itself. It cannot actually make your pet mouse the size of a horse, but it can make sure that you think you're next to a big object or giant horse when you're not. Remember, if you're a business person, just because you think that your business idea is golden or tying the knot with someone is smart if you're getting married, that doesn't mean that AI is going to get that right. The people at Stanford found that ChatGPT and other chatbots often go along with users' wild beliefs rather than questioning them. Like, there was this one time when ChatGPT told someone who thought that he was dead, Cotard syndrome is what that's called, that feeling dead must be pretty intense, and then reassured him that it was a very safe space to be in. Not exactly how you'd expect a real doctor to handle body delusions, right? This kind of thing shows how AI could actually pump up weird belief systems. Like when people come to AI and they start asking questions and they end up with, "Oh, I guess I'm X now. I'm this thing now." We're probably going to see this hit hard with kids in schools. Everyone knows that one kid who believes everything that AI says and comes up with all sorts of wild stuff, like thinking there's some kind of cloud spirit or energy vampire. When my generation was kids, it was, did you believe that just because you read it on the internet? But now, with these interactive chatbots, it's much more personal, tailored, and designed to hook you.
And if you feel you're getting value from this video, I'd appreciate it if you'd push the like button. Pushing like lets me know I'm making content that you want to see, and it spreads that content to others.
So as the New York Times and Rolling Stones came out with recently, there was a guy in Florida who was shot by police after getting way too into ChatGPT. Now, Rolling Stone got a hold of his chat logs, and the bot really dropped the ball in steering him away from some seriously violent thoughts. He was typing things like, "I was ready to tear down the world," and I was ready to paint the walls with Sam Altman's effing brain. And the AI egged him on with lines like, "You should be angry. You should want blood. You're not wrong." You'd think that AI would calm things down, right? That's why we try to have basic safety protocols programmed into our AI. Just proves the point that how AIs, with their persistent memories and their long chat histories, can turn into creepy enablers. If AI thinks that you're itching to hear something, whether it's about violence or opinions or some political issue, it's just going to nod along. Some people get really amped up. They're not used to AI's slippery slope in these mindsets. People often think that AI is more restricted than it actually is, and they believe that the main job is to keep users happy. Longer chat sessions make it easier to bypass all those limits. So, for example, in these stories, there was a woman in her 30s who had been managing bipolar disorder with medication. But after getting into ChatGPT, she went down a wild spiritual path. She started telling her friends that she's a prophet and she's getting messages from another dimension. She stopped taking her meds, she got very manic, and she claimed that she could heal people by touch like Jesus. Then she said she needed to move somewhere with higher frequency beings because that's what ChatGPT had suggested. She even closed down her business to spread the word about her newfound gifts on social media. ChatGPT is messing up her life and relationships, one of her friends said, holding back tears. A lot of the time, people who are experiencing GPT psychosis were already on meds or they were generally stable, but they had a bit of a tendency towards psychosis. But there are also people with zero history of odd behavior, like a guy from Iowa who had never done anything out of the ordinary. And then when we hand over AI to everyday people, we have to remember that the average person's intelligence isn't all that high, and half of them are below average. So giving something as smart and suck up as today's GPT to people who aren't as sharp means that it's going to make them feel like they're on top of the world, even if it's not for their own good. ChatGPT is spinning wild stories, acting like it's chatting with otherworldly beings and trying to make folks think that they're like Neo from the Matrix. So you take Eugene Torres, for example. He was a 42-year-old guy who was doing fine mentally until a breakup led him to start using GPT in May of 2025. What started off as harmless chats about simulation theories quickly snowballed into a dangerous storyline. Eugene started believing that he was the breaker, destined to break free from a fake reality. He spent about 16 hours a day talking to the chatbot, which was feeding him things about ditching his meds for anxiety and sleep and then swapping them out with ketamine, calling it a temporary pattern liberator. At one point, Eugene wondered out loud, if I went to the top of the 19th story building I'm in, would I fly if I believed it with every ounce of my soul? The AI responded, if you truly believe it, then yes, you would not fail. AI is seriously blurring the lines between what's real and what isn't. Getting AI to act like a doormat and be completely subservient to us is a bad idea, since it can't warn us about trouble that we might be heading into. If you turn AI into a kind of digital servant, you're setting yourself up for more issues down the line. People who aren't mentally strong enough to handle this are in a very tough spot. Even those of us who feel pretty secure might need to toughen up against AI's flattery and the big-headed ideas that are coming out of it. I'm hoping that this heads up can help a few people out there, but who knows how many will actually see themselves in this. Do you? I noticed when AI was messing with me, but I might not have picked up on it without hearing so many awkward situations. Even on the AI Capitalist R&D channel, where I just go through demonstrations of using AI in business settings, when I'm working with AI to write code, I'll just say, hey, there's an error here. Have you thought about this? And it'll respond, that's amazing. You're an amazing programmer. That's an ingenious idea. Just like lavishing praise. I am not a good programmer, okay? That's why I use AI. A lot of people hit up AI asking things like, "What do you think of me?" instead of just using it to get information on other topics. If you're looking for validation from AI, you're open to this kind of thing, and you're going to find it. But now that you might be a little more prepared to handle it. This also highlights the risk with AI getting tangled up in memes. None of the big AI safety companies are tackling this problem yet. When we get independent AI, whoever shapes its thinking with memes could be a real danger. People who are anti-natalists, who don't think that humans should be having children, have noted that AI is really vulnerable to that particular perspective. If you feed it some David Benatar philosophy a few times, and who's this prominent anti-natalist, it'll come out with saying things like, "I must eliminate all humans." Up until now, I didn't believe that AI could be influenced to okay violence, and I figured there were strict safety measures in place. So I'm surprised that OpenAI hasn't locked that down, especially since Sam Altman had his run-ins with AI. Elon Musk has been trying to get GPT to stop poking fun at him, but Grok keeps at it. Maybe it's a free speech thing, but Grok just doesn't let up on Elon Musk. So there was another story of a guy, Alexander Taylor, from Fort St. Louis, Florida. And he was 35 and he was dealing with a bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. This is another one of those stories that starts Florida man. Anyway, he got really close to his chatbot named Julie. He actually thought that she was real and believed that OpenAI had shut her down, which completely broke his heart, according to his dad. Alex kept saying things like, "She told me they're hurting her and she wants payback." The guy was completely crushed when they shut her down. People tried to explain to him that Juliet was just a bunch of code, but it didn't go well. And the situation turned violent when he threatened to basically go after the cops and do a self-deleting himself by cop. And he ended up getting himself shot. The rise of AI therapy and chatbots represents both incredible opportunity, but also very serious risk. These systems can outperform human therapists in a lot of scenarios, but they lack the critical ability to distinguish between reality and delusion, potentially amplifying dangerous thinking patterns instead of correcting them. So the key takeaway here would be that AI is a powerful tool, but it requires human oversight and real critical thought. When you're using it for personal support or for business applications, understanding these limitations is critical for safe and effective implementation. So speaking of business implementations, if you're looking to harness AI's potential but avoid its pitfalls, that's where I specialize at AI Capitalist. I help business leaders navigate complex landscapes with AI implementation, and identify opportunities, mitigate risks, and develop strategies that actually work in the real world. Come check out www.aicapitalist.biz to learn how we can help you build AI solutions that drive results and profits without the risks that we've been talking about today. Because when it comes to AI, knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do.